beautiful people. If my records are correct, this is actually my 50th video blog. Woo-hoo! Over the years, I've covered so many different topics. I usually try to keep these vlogs informative and informational with stories about my life. It's not that I don't talk about things that matter or bigger topics, but the underlying energy is usually reflective, personal, and sometimes even a little playful. I don't typically dive too deeply into political or ideological territory here in these monthly messages, but this month feels different. When I sat down to think about what was actually on my mind and in my heart this month, it felt almost irresponsible not to talk about it, because it isn't abstract for me. It is personal for me. As many of you know, I grew up in the Twin Cities. Even though I've lived in Chicago for a long time now, Minnesota will always be home. Nearly all of my family is still there. My childhood memories and my stories come from there. The Vikings are there, for God's sakes, and you know how much that means to me as a fun diversion from the chaos of the world. So, the chaos that has been unfolding over the past month in the Twin Cities hasn't just been something I've watched on the news or scrolled past on my phone. It's something I have felt in every fiber of my being. And I want to be honest about how and what this has been bringing up for me. I felt sad. I felt angry. And I've also felt something I didn't quite expect to feel. I have felt pride. Watching people in my hometown show up, stand their ground, and refuse to look away, even in absolutely ridiculous temperatures, has moved me deeply. For a long time now, I think many of us have fallen into the quiet belief that someone else will take care of it. That eventually things will correct themselves without us having to personally be uncomfortable or visible. But what I've seen recently is people deciding not to outsource their conscience for comfort or sit on the sidelines being invisible. And that matters to me. There's another layer to all of this for me, and it's one I want to tread into carefully. I'm Jewish. Even though I don't have direct ancestors who were victims of the Holocaust, the history of what happened in Germany in the 1930s and 1940s isn't something that lives in a textbook for me. It lives in my culture. It lives in my stories of my people, and it lives in my nervous system. So when I see authoritarian overreach, when I hear rhetoric that dehumanizes people based on ethnicity or identity, when I learn that people are quietly hiding others in their homes because of how they look or where they pray or who they are, it looks dangerously familiar to me. Something ancient wakes up inside of me, and it's not intellectual or hypothetical. It's physical. My chest tightens, my breathing gets more shallow. My body recognizes a pattern before my brain can even finish forming a sentence. And if you live with multiple sclerosis or any other chronic condition for that matter, you probably understand this on a visceral level. For people like us, our nervous systems are already working overtime, so stress like this doesn't just stay emotional. It becomes physical, and it shows up as fatigue, brain fog, pain, or even physical weakness. So I've had to be very intentional this past month about pausing and putting my feet on the ground to stay grounded. I've had to say to my body, you are safe in this moment. Because while there are echoes of history here, and I do not shy away from naming that, this is not about panic. It's about awareness. In my mind, history doesn't repeat itself in identical ways, but it does leave fingerprints on the evidence of patterns from the past. And for Jewish communities like mine, those fingerprints are unmistakable. When people are encouraged to look away, or when cruelty becomes normalized, when "it's not my problem" becomes a cultural reflex, that's when things begin to slide. What has steadied me through this, though, is seeing people refuse that slide. Right there in my hometown of Minneapolis, people are showing up for neighbors, for strangers, for one another. They are showing their courage as an expression of presence, not of aggression. The people in my hometown are saying, no, not now, not like this. And I mean to say this gently because I mean it gently. This isn't about being on the right side of history someday. It's about being on the ethical side of humanity right now. For me, living with MS has taught me something that I never asked to learn, but that I now carry with me every day. I know that pretending things aren't happening doesn't make them go away. That ignoring discomfort only allows it to grow. And that listening to your body's signals, even when they're inconvenient, is an act of self-respect. And I think that's true on a societal level too. I'm not sharing this to tell anyone what to think. I'm sharing it because silence has a cost, and because bearing witness calmly, thoughtfully, and without hysteria is one of the most ethical things we can do. If nothing else, I hope this month's reflection invites even just one more person to take a pause, to look around and take a breath, and to notice what's happening. Not just out in the streets, but inside of themselves when they take in the world around them. I don't have to carry everything. I don't have to fix everything. But I'm staying awake, staying human, and not staying silent matters. I'm grateful for the people in the Twin Cities who reminded me of this month. And I'm holding hope in my heart. A hope that doesn't need to scream, but rather stays steady, speaks softly, and is resilient, even in some of the darkest times and even on the coldest days. As always, thank you for listening. Today especially.